you're after firewood, what do I just found? I guess there's some Thanksgiving dinner out here. November 19th, 2020. Had a couple of leaks coming out of the Ram pool reservoir. Where I have these connector plugs on the 3/4 inch black poly pipe. There's some down here near the bottom that I haven't clamped so that the pipe doesn't split. Instead, they'll pop out and it'll drain. Problem is, on a cold night like last night and a warm night like today, those freeze plugs pop out and then the pool starts draining because I'd left the valve on. So I came down and traced those out. I thought I would check on the Ram spring while I'm down here. It's just starting to touch the bottom of the pipe, so it looks like we're starting to get some water back. But decided to check on the Ram pump site here while I was here, and look at that. We got a tree dink came down right across the Ram drive pipe. But fortunately, when I put that rail in, it protected it. So that's kind of nice. Just another example of going a little extra distance on engineering can save you a lot of headache and trouble later on. Alright, that's it for November 19th, 2020. Back in the greenhouse, tightening things up. We had a cold night last night, down to 18 degrees. So got me motivated to continue tightening things up for winter time in here. Went in and did styrofoam on the ends now, on both sides, both ends, up that first 2.5 foot. Tightened up. There's two 4-inch pieces of styrofoam back here for the first like 8 foot of this wall. Tighten those up closer together. They had a little bit of a gap between them, and went ahead and for now, until I get this door straightened out, I actually have to take this off and build a new frame for it, but until I get that straightened out, I just put some soil down here to block the cold air channel that was letting all the cold air come through. So that's already made a big difference in here, along with the insulation. I guess we'll just show you the other end here. See, got that insulated in. Same down here. And then on this back wall, you can actually see the 4-inch back there. That's 4-inch styro I have that a friend of mine gave me about a year or two ago. And I've had it in stock, and I've been saving it, not wanting to cut it or make it into small pieces, but there are no major projects on the horizon at the moment, so I thought I'd use it in the most appropriate fashion. And it's really tightened up in here nicely, much warmer. I moved the fan over from the dehydrator rack now that seeds are basically dry, and that's stirring air very nicely. So between all the tighten ups, you can actually see. That's right, we can go to the chart right in the greenhouse here. I always forget that now when I'm filming. Anyway, you can see that line much flatter. I made the install about here, and very flat coming across. I had the stove throttled back to half here. You can see where the stove dropped off, and even though it dropped off, the temperature of the thermal mass continued to climb pretty steadily. I should mention I did put a piece of nice dry hard maple in there, so that makes a difference. Definitely higher heat performance than the wet cherry or green cherry I've been burning recently. With the new tank sensors on, we're looking at both tanks. So the blue line is the hot tank on top of the stove, the old 40-gallon or 200-quart stainless stock pot, and then The other tank is that one on the side of the stove. And actually that's pretty hot. Yeah. And at the moment I got some fresh cold water back in the tank here, and I'm just warming it up with the circulator pump, because I got to do some watering in here, and the water coming out of the pool is like, I don't know, 35, 40 degrees, something like that. It's cold. So anyway, you can see a more realistic reflection of how many BTUs we actually have in storage. And I guess we'll just take a slide back across to last night. You can see we were down at 18 degrees last night. You can see I had the greenhouse pretty warm, around 70, and you can see I had the stove ramping pretty heavily there, and I had the thermal masses pretty well heated up. I stopped stoking relatively early. You can see it actually scaled down by 2 a.m. pretty well, and then continued to tank off. You know, by 4 a.m. the stove basically wasn't putting out much heat, and you can see the thermal mass 1 and 2 here on the chart, or up here in BTUs. And you can see that nice long drop that was helping keep the greenhouse temperature up. Now, had I not had that thermal mass, you'd see the greenhouse temperature drop off. It might go probably about 10 degrees over what the outside temperature is. So it makes a massive difference, pardon the pun. Anyway, I'm going to continue doing the upgrades and development here, and move this forward with the thermal mass and the heat coil loop and all that sort of stuff. I decided to do a quick update and show off my new styrofoam. New, old, new, used, recycled, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, thanks for watching the Farms and Seeds Network. Hope you found this interesting or informative. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, if I've earned it, of course.